Graduated high school, did my stint in college for an entire 2 months. It wasn't for me. It's just not for everyone, and it was not for me. So I am that college dropout. I don't recommend it, but that was my path. I just wanted to get out there and do life. And was cleaning houses for about 5 years. But it's funny how it's come full circle. And I have sold many of the homes where I used to clean the toilets and vacuum the floors and mop the kitchens. Let's see, last year I had 72 transactions for right at $17 million in volume. It's just me and my virtual assistant.
Mastermind Agent is proud to present Success Calls. Top real estate agents from across North America reveal their success secrets, strategies, and systems in up-close and personal interviews. You can find all the calls at www.mastermindagent.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent. Welcome to Success Calls. This month's top agent is Desi Sowers with RE/MAX in Blacksburg, Virginia. Last year, she closed 72 transactions with a total sales volume of $16.8 million. Her average sales price was $233,000, of which 32% were buyers and 68% were sellers. She is a solo agent with one virtual assistant. Welcome to the call, Desi.
Hi, Mike. I'm thrilled to be with you. Thank you.
Desi, this is great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm real excited to talk to you today. Real excited to hear about your story. So let's go ahead and jump right in. My first question for you is, before we talk about today, let's go back for a little bit and talk about what you did before you got into real estate.
Okay, sure. Kind of a long story short. Graduated high school, did my stint in college for an entire 2 months. It wasn't for me. It's just not for everyone, and it was not for me. So I am that college dropout. I don't recommend it, but that was my path. I just wanted to get out there and do life. Got married when I was 22 years old. We bought our first house. Right then, my soon-to-be in-laws gave us a $500 wedding gift, and that was the down payment for our home. So I've never paid rent. I've always been, homeowner right out of the gate. And then spent 10 years or so in banking. Had children. You know how that goes. The focus is just work and children. And was cleaning houses for about 5 years because our youngest son was diagnosed with special needs. He has autism. So that was obviously our focus in life and still is. But I just always wanted to get my real estate license. So when I was 40 years old, just kind of jumped into it, said, now's the time to do it.
First, a quick word from our sponsor, RealGTV, Real Estate Agent Lead Generation Television. Need more referrals? Get a free script and simple 3-part plan used by a top agent to receive and close 74 referral transactions in 1 year. Just go to freereferralscript.com. That's freereferralscript.com. Now, back to the show.
Yeah,
that is fantastic. I got a couple quick follow-up questions for you. So when you were at the bank, what were you doing there?
I did customer service and teller, did a little bit of everything. I was that floater that went from branch to branch, just filled in wherever I was needed. My absolute favorite thing to do was to work the main office drive-through teller. I mean, you would open up the window and stay in there until 6 p.m. and it was just boom, boom, boom.
Right.
I really, really enjoyed that.
So that was the entry-level job at the bank, and it did a lot of customer interaction.
Exactly. Lots of customer service, lots of troubleshooting, problem solving, kept you on your toes, and I very much enjoyed it.
Very good. Very good. And then you also said you cleaned houses. Is that correct?
I did. After I left the bank, when our youngest was starting kindergarten, again, he's got special needs, so I couldn't just drop him off at a sitter. It was up to us to do everything, and still needed to pay the bills and make ends meet. So I started my little cleaning business, did that for 5 years and honestly had a waiting list at the end. Yeah, I would take the kids to school, go clean a couple of houses, turn right around, pick them back up.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is great. So
Yeah.
you got a little entrepreneurial spirit there. Did it ever go beyond just yourself?
No, it could have, but again, I'm one of these, I don't want to say control freak, but I'm very much want to be in control of my schedule. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I never jumped on like the team train in real estate or brought on more people, because the more I have to manage other than just myself, my husband, my children, my family, it just, puts it out there to somewhere I never wanted to go.
Now, I ask questions before we get together, and one of the things I asked you was to tell me a little bit about yourself, and you mentioned the house cleaning, and I think you said something along the lines of you are now selling some of the houses you used to clean. Is that true?
That's right. That's right. Several of the local homes here, it's funny, and I tried to hang on to a little bit of the house cleaning, after I got my license, but I just jumped into it full time so hard, I couldn't keep up with it. But it's funny how it's come full circle, and I have sold many of the homes where I used to clean the toilets and vacuum the floors and mop the kitchens. Yeah. So it's a pretty cool full circle.
Well, Desi, this is fantastic. I love your story. I love how you got into real estate. You jumped in, you said you were 40. And so let's talk about those early years. First of all, did you have a fast start or slow start that first year?
I think from what I've been told, because again, I had zero, to compare myself to, because I just didn't know. I mean, I was brand new in the business. I think it was pretty fast. My first full year was 2005, and I sold 12 properties. I closed 12 transactions.
And were you working full-time or part-time that year?
I tried to carry on some of my cleaning jobs just to supplement income, but realized quickly that I just couldn't do it. So I just had to really jump in completely full-time. Yeah.
And in the beginning, you said you had kids. How many kids did you have in the house when you were 40?
Oh, yeah. I've got two boys. We have two sons, and let me think. Gosh, they're 23 and 25 now. I'm guessing they were like 7 and 9 when I got my real estate license. And again, I would just take them to the office a lot of times with me, set them in the boardroom with a Happy Meal and Legos because mom had to go to work. Yeah.
Right. And I've been receiving questions lately, and that was one of them is, as a mom who's doing this, you got young kids around, how do you juggle all that, and how do you schedule it to make it work? And it sounds like what you did was you brought them with you.
Yeah, I would bring, when I needed to go to the office, of course, I would, bring them with me. They were great. In those early years, a lot of times by the end of the transaction, my clients would end up meeting my children somewhere along the way. And I've got a great support system, and my family lives close by, my husband. So we just did whatever it took to make it work. And right off the bat, too, I set up my home office. That was going to be my efficient kind of place to get things done. I just felt like, running back and forth to an office was a waste of time if I really didn't need to. So my home office has always been my efficient place.
When you first got in real estate, what was your goal with real estate? What was your objective? What did you want to accomplish with it?
I needed to support my family. Honestly, I just needed to make some more income and be in a position where I could take care of the children and still be mom and wife. And my first year goal, I thought if I could just make $20,000, that was my portion of income to the household. When I was cleaning, I thought if I could make $20,000, I've got this. We can do it. And my first year, I made $20,000. So, yeah, it was on the money at $20,000.
Amazing how powerful a goal is, right?
Yeah, exactly. I said, if I can do this, if I can just knock out $20,000, I can do this. I can survive in real estate.
How did you get business that first year? What were you doing to drum up business?
You know what? I was, of course, again, brand new, had no one, but I did have an office manager who just said, Desi, you need to talk to everyone, let them know you're a realtor, advertise and promote, because when you go to real estate school, no one says, oh, by the way, now you're your branding manager. You've got to figure out how to make the phone ring. So that was my focus, was just how do I make the phone ring? Had my little logo done, put it on the car, stuck it on everything, and then just kept beating it. Everyone I knew, folks I went to church with, and it takes a while to build up credibility, because it's like, Desi, okay, she's cleaning houses. She's not a professional. She's not a realtor. So it takes a few years to prove yourself. Yeah, I think it takes about 3 years in this business to really kind of prove that you're in it and know what you're doing.
That's a really interesting point. You're bringing up that you had to rebrand yourself to your sphere of influence. They saw you as the cleaning lady because that's what you had been doing. That was the business you created and the image that you wanted out there. And then you transitioned into a new business or a new brand that you wanted to create. How did you do that?
A lot of that was, again, through like the logo shirts, the whole, whenever people see me, it's like, oh, she is the realtor. Okay. Because you just portray yourself in a way where you look legitimate, and again, the signage on the cars. I think I did a billboard in that first couple of years. Did the billboard and just getting comments on things like that. Yeah, school functions. The boys were still little and in school, so sponsoring the activity, showing up with the logo shirt with cupcakes. Not just the vacuum cleaner in the back of the car. Did
you bring up real estate in mostly the conversations? Is that how you did it face to face?
I could do a better job at that. I'm really bad about talking about me and saying, here's what I do, here's what I do. I just got to the point where I wanted to make it obvious. I just wanted people to get it in their minds and say, oh yeah, that's what she does. I mean, sent out the newsletters, the mailers, right off the bat, and jumped in there with an education level. I think I took my first GRI class within 3 weeks of getting my license. And I'm that person in class that does everything the instructor says to do. Yeah, I'm that person. So I just did it. Yeah, they would say do a newsletter or do a mailing. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Let's do this, Desi. Let's fast forward to today. Let's talk about what you did last year. Give people some quick stats. So first of all, how long have you been in the business now?
I've been in about 15 years now. We're going on about 15 years.
Just under 15 years. And how many homes did you sell last year, and what was the sales volume?
Let's see. Last year I had 72 transactions for right at $17 million in volume.
Oh, that is fantastic. And
yeah.
That was really awesome. Do you recall what your GCI was on that?
That was about $460,000.
Very nice. Way more than the $20,000 your original goal.
I have crushed the $20,000 goal. That's right. That's right. And I'm thankful for all of it. That's right.
It's like 22 times that original amount. That is awesome.
That's right.
And do you recall what your best year was and how many homes you sold that year and the volume?
Yeah. That would have been 2017. And I've been very consistent for about the past 5 or 6 years. I mean, it only changes maybe 4 or 5 sales. So right out that, 17, I've not gotten up to 18 million yet, but like 17.2, 17.5. And my first, other than the $20,000, the next goal was a $10 million year. So got to that back in 2012. And then the goal after that was I wanted a $50,000 month. I wanted a GCI of $50,000 month. And I did that last summer.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is cool. And just to clarify, so 2 years ago, you sold 78 homes. Was that your high year as far as units?
Yeah. Yes, 78 units was the high year, and then last year was 72.
Now, I got a question for you. If 50,000 GCI was your big goal and you achieved that, what is your new goal?
Honestly, I'm kind of at a maintenance level where I just want to be consistent and draw more from my sphere of influence. I'm pretty good at trimming expenses. I mean, it's just me and my virtual assistant. I've cut out a lot of the big extras, which I consider, paid leads, that sort of thing. So really, I think it's just running a tighter ship and maybe saving for retirement.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna kind of get into those items like how you're generating your leads and your virtual assistant
Okay.
in a little bit. What I want to do right now, though, is I want to talk about something you mentioned to me when we were talking early, and that is you said you're freakishly organized. What do you mean by that?
You know what I am? Again, I am that morning person that everyone hates. Everything has a place and everything gets put in its place. I'm not big on shuffling around a lot of paper. So literally, at my little, home office, my desk, I have one printer, one scanner, and my computer. That's it. I run everything kind of a well-oiled machine between just a couple of items. I'm a big Dropbox user. I'm a heavy Evernote user. All of my templates, all of my checklists, my day-to-day activities are all just funneled through my Evernote.
Do you use database to keep your past clients in? Do you use a CRM?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I'm so bad at it. You know what? I do not have one specifically that I rely on. But again, my Evernote keeps up with my active buyers. My website, I use DACNO, and they've got a pretty robust CRM built into it that I probably should use more than I do. But again, I'm very good at my checklist and, sending out my home anniversary cards, my email. I do the drip campaigns through Happy Grasshopper, and they are just phenomenal.
Happy Grasshopper.
Happy Grasshopper, Dan Stewart and his team down in Florida. I hope they're hunkered down right now. Happy Grasshopper started using them probably 3 or 4 years ago. And it's a drip email campaign. You can also send out blasts, but they actually call and interview you. So your campaigns sound and feel like they are coming from you. It's not just a templated version of some canned emails.
Very nice. Now we're going to go into marketing in just a second, but I want to stay on this idea of being organized. First of all, do you know, have you ever taken the DISC personality profile, DISC?
I have not, so you tell me where I'd fall.
I'm guessing C early on because of the organizational, but we'll find out as we move along. Let's talk about your schedule. How you're staying really organized. You're very efficient and productive. What does your schedule look like on a daily and weekly basis?
Yeah, I do a lot of time blocking. I'm up 5:30, 6 a.m. Like I've already been out for my little old, I call it my little old lady run this morning, get my 3 miles in or so. And I can't do it every day, but I shoot for 3 to 4 days a week. And then I don't set physical appointments like leaving here until 11 a.m. Okay, because in the mornings, that's when I'm doing my prospecting, my organization, my, keeping up with my volume. I mean, there was at one point this summer, I had 24 transactions closing scheduled. And it's up to me to order the termite, make sure the home inspection's done, but honestly, with my systems and, checklists in place, I just don't find it, terribly hard to keep up with. But also, and we'll go back to time blocking, I don't work with a ton of buyers. Obviously, they are very time consuming. So my business model is focused on listings. And then my buyers are typically my sellers who are staying in the area, maybe move up people. and then referrals, but I generally don't do sign calls, internet leads. That's where I send those out to young agents with more time on their hands and get a referral back. And it took me a long time to be willing to give those up, but if I wanted to scale and get bigger, I knew I had to.
That's pretty powerful right there. I was wondering how you focus your business more towards the seller side, because I happen to know that 90% of your business is repeat and referral, and I'm thinking, well, then it's going to be half and half. How are you making sure that you're only working with sellers?
And well, like I said, it's not only sellers, but the majority of it is sellers. Okay. And I just find by like being out there in the public, even my sellers, they know someone, even after they move, they've got a friend or relative, a co-worker they stay in touch with, so it naturally does just bring a cycle of repeat business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You got about 70% sellers. You mentioned one of the things was that you're referring out your sign calls, any kind of leads that come in that buyers that aren't in your sphere.
Just people, strangers, people I just don't have a relationship with, right?
And so you're doing that on the side. How many referral fees do you earn each year?
I'd say 10 to 15.
So that's a healthy little side income.
It's a healthy little, and it keeps me focused on the part of the business that I really love to do, which is sellers, marketing, and it gives me more time to spend with my family.
I bet that referral income that you're earning is equivalent to what you were making when you were cleaning houses.
Probably more. Yeah. And those are just referring people out, a phone call, saying, hey, here's a lead for you.
How did you get strong enough to do that?
Like I said, it took me a while. It really took a while to be bold enough to hand over some business because, look, we work so hard to make our phone rings. And then when we do, to pass it off is pretty frightening. But again, I realized, I'm not going to miss church to show houses. I'm not going to, give away every ounce of my family time when my children are still small. We've been married for 32 years. I'm not going to let, I can't keep working 7 days a week, all weekend out showing houses. And the only way to have a life, I think, and be successful in real estate is you can't run around with a ton of buyers.
Let's talk about that schedule again. Let's go back to that. So it sounds to me like the morning is very structured. You're going to get up early. You're going to take care of yourself, keep your health in line. You're going to jump into your organizational tasks to keep all of your transactions moving along. You're going to do some prospecting. And then the afternoon is opened up for appointments, to go out on listing appointments or help a buyer run around, maybe go to a closing. Does that sound correct?
Exactly. Yep, that is exactly right. And I really do not work many weekends at all.
Let's talk about the weekly schedule. Are you working Monday through Friday then? And then you're taking Saturday and Sunday off? Or are you working Monday through Saturday? Or how are you doing it?
Sure. I'm a Monday through Friday. And then I also try to schedule my Wednesdays as an in-office day. Okay, because again, I got a whole lot of paperwork and prospecting and leads to keep up with. So I try to schedule one day where I'm just in, okay? And then Saturdays and Sundays, if I have to work with a buyer, if I've got someone I understand their schedules, you need to work around it. So I will go out Saturdays, but if I do, I try to finish up by noon. Make an early appointment on Saturday, finish up by noon. And then on Sundays, I try my best to put that aside as my church and family day.
How do you educate the other agents that you're not going to be working on Sunday, especially since you're a listing agent? They may send you an offer over.
And if they do, I understand that. I might shoot them back a quick text if I'm in church and say, hey, church, done. That's all you need to say. That's the signal. You'll hear from me after 12 o'clock, But obviously, contracts, urgent calls you take care of right away. But honestly, after about 7 o'clock in the evenings, I tend to, shut it down a little bit. Yeah. And that's even to other agents, unless it's urgent. If we're in the middle of negotiating or something's very important, it can all wait until the following business day. It really can.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll throw out a quick idea at you real fast. When I was selling a lot of homes, I wanted to take Sunday off too. So what I did was I had a voicemail that would automatically switch in that said, I don't work today, Sunday. I'm resting. I'm recovering. If you have any offers for me, make sure that they have an acceptance deadline of Monday. I'll get back to it on Monday when I get back in the office.
Oh, that's
great.
That's brilliant. That's really, really good. But and sometimes on Sunday afternoons, excuse me, I'll sit down because I need to hammer out some emails, paperwork, because I won't go into Monday behind. I've got to be ready for Monday. I'll even schedule those not to send out. I'll type them up, but not send them until Monday schedule, because I don't even want people to think I'm working on Sunday.
Right.
Because if you send them an email, then they're going to respond, and there goes my Sunday.
Right. And make sure you tell if you do this, make sure you tell your sellers you're not going to be working Sunday, your buyers, everybody needs to know, and they'll understand. They'll work around their schedule. Just like a doctor or lawyer.
Yeah, they really will. And of course, you're going to get the people who are just not going to listen no matter what. And we learn to work through those as well. But the majority of the time, people are very understanding.
I want to talk more about this schedule because, again, people are really interested how you're juggling so much. Let's go to the mornings on the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Sure.
You said prospecting. What kind of prospecting are you doing, and how long of a period do you have time blocked for it?
Okay, sure. And it just depends on the workload itself. Okay. I've got, a handful of buyers. I go down my Evernote checklist, see if I can match them up with any of the listings from the previous day, send those out. On Monday, I'm contacting my active buyers and saying, hey, just scheduling the week. Let me know if there's anything you want to take a look at this week. Okay. So that's a part of the prospecting. I'm doing my little Facebook entries, doing those as well during that time block of prospecting. I'm sending out a lot of handwritten notes and cards. And I don't know if you want to get into that later about keeping up with clients, but, when I sit down and write out my anniversary cards, all of those are handwritten by me. So that's my block of time in the morning. I've got to get through this, and also taking care of the business at hand, all active closings, making sure everything's on track.
What time are you blocking for prospecting in the morning? And what time is it? Are you going from like 9 to 10, or what's your time block?
Usually from like 8 to 10, because I don't like to pick up the phone and call people until at least business hours, and I think that's 9 a.m.
Okay.
So I don't like to pick up the phone and call people too early. And that includes when I'm prospecting expireds and for sale by owners. Yeah, do that also during that time blocking.
Let's do this, Desi. Let's jump into that marketing, because we've been talking a lot about it. I'm sure we got people curious. So let's talk about the fact that you have 90% of your business coming in from these past clients and sphere of influence. I got that right? You have 90% referral at this point?
Right,
so that's 60 plus transactions a year, 5 a month. Pretty cool. And you're doing it all by yourself. So let's jump into how you're making the phone ring, how you're getting people to do business with you. What specifically are you doing? Well, let me back up. Before I jump into that, let's get that big picture. You have a database of some kind of past clients and sphere of influence. How big is it?
It's not huge. I've got past of about 200, 225. And then even smaller than that, I have, what I call my A++. That's about 50 to 75 people. And they're the ones that I just love on a lot. And they send me, whenever someone in their world mentions real estate, Desi comes to mind. And maybe it's a random gift card here and there. Maybe it's sponsoring their kids, travel football or their travel baseball team. That sort of thing. We live in a small community, eat out a lot, love seeing my clients in restaurants and being able to pick up their tab. Just anything you can do to love on them and show them you appreciate them, because I really do. And just providing that 5-star experience during the transaction, and then keeping up with it and saying again, thank you after the transaction.
So sounds to me like your database is about 300 people. You've got about 225 that are past clients, 75 of these A++ folks that are really high referral sources. Right. Do you have another group of people that you market to, or do you specifically
I do. I've also got the giant, after 15 years, collection of emails, that sort of thing. That's about 3,000 right now. And those are they're pretty much on automatic, meaning the monthly newsletter by email, the drip email campaigns. That's where the Happy Grasshopper comes into play. Those are the folks that you touch base with, but not so much hands-on as the people that regularly send me referrals.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor, RealGTV, Real Estate Agent Lead Generation Television, where top agents reveal exactly how they create consistent flows of home buyer and home seller leads into their practices every month. Need more leads? Hit the pause button right now. Open Google and search RealGTV. That's REALG.TV. Now, back to the show.
So let me clarify. I just want to understand your business. So the 300 folks, the past clients in the sphere of influence, the high referrer source, are those the people that are sending you the 90% of your business that's closing?
Yeah, them and my A++.
Right. Yeah. So that's where I want to focus, because to me it sounds like you have a small list of 300. That's the majority, over 60 transactions. Gosh, I'd have to do the math on that. That's pretty amazing, right? Is that 20% turn a year? That's incredible. 1 in 5 are sending you a closed transaction. That's pretty awesome. I want to dig into that. Yeah. And then it sounds like you've got this bigger, older database that's kind of like the people on the edge you met over the years, and you're hoping some of those people will pop into your
you might hear from them eventually at some time. Right.
Good. So I want to focus on those past clients and those A++. Tell me, what are you doing with those people over the course of a year? What is your annual marketing plan to your past clients and your tight group?
Okay, I'll give you some of the things that I do. And again, this gets tweaked and changed throughout the years as I have any light bulb moments, that sort of thing. The emails, obviously they get, the drip emails, they get the newsletter. Okay, those are once a month. So some sort of contact. I've also got a private Facebook group, thanks to one of your mastermind calls. Okay, giveaways on that gives me a chance to drop by with maybe a gift card or a small gift of some sort. So I'm touching them by email. I'm touching them on Facebook. Once a year, I'm, again, a little old school sometimes. I send out the calendars, okay? And I go for, I don't know if you can see her, I go for like the spiral bound flip that sits on your desk. These are, no one's going to throw this away. They're awesome. And of course, it's all, all branded with the Desi Sowers. That's, that cost me several $1,000s at the end of the year. But I get people message me going, hey, Desi, when's the calendar coming? Because they just enjoy it. And then I also, oh goodness, at closing, I give them, what I call my little swag bag. And again, not super expensive, but just things that are thoughtful. A coffee mug, a nice little piece of technology. I'll give out like an Amazon Dot or a Spot, the little alarm clock. Everybody, enjoys that. Just something that people will keep and think of you. Okay. And then I guess another way I touch a lot of my past clients, I've purchased box tickets. We have a minor league baseball team here in Pulaski County, and I have box seats right behind home plate. And I'll give those away. It's like, hey, I've got tickets, not going to the game. Who can go? Or I'll specifically call a family with kids that I know, and say, hey, not going tonight. Do you guys want that? And they're always sending me pictures of, hey, thanks for the tickets. We had so much fun at the game. So that's another, giving away the ball tickets is a big way to touch past clients.
I think there's something you do right after the closing. What is that?
Right. Oh, my cakes. I can't believe I almost forgot my cakes. I am one of those, prolific cake bakers also. After closing, I will bake you, from scratch, a nice little cake, a pound cake, just something, and deliver it. And just, at Amazon, I found these nice containers. They're not expensive. You're going to get a homemade cake, again, with a sincere thank you. And breaking bread is a biblical principle, that binds people together. It really does, So, yeah, they're just delivering a cake. They come home from work, or I'll snap a picture of me sitting it on the porch and say, hey, when you get home today, make sure you grab your cake off the porch. Yeah. So that's another, just a special way that I can touch my folks that I very much appreciate.
I also understand you're doing handwritten cards out to people.
Yeah.
Handwritten notes. Tell me a little bit about that. How many are you trying to get out? What kind of messages in there?
Oh, goodness. I send, once a month, I've got everyone, again, in one of my little just database checklists. Everyone who closed, say, in June, everyone in July, separated by month. And you will get a handwritten, just, congratulations on your 5-year home anniversary, or congratulations on your 7-year. I mean, honestly, I've got people, I've literally been doing this, congratulations on 14 years. And they know it's coming. And honestly, I think they would get frightened if they didn't get it one year. They'd wonder, where's Desi? So yeah, lots of handwritten cards. I'm really into now the Love Pop cards. I don't know if you're familiar with Love Pops.
What are they?
It's a greeting card that kind of pops up with a 3D. Very, very cool. I send a lot of those. They've got a great one that you can slip a Starbucks gift card into. Just makes it very personalized. So yeah, my message in all the cards is basically either congratulations and thank you. Congratulations on your home. Thank you that I was a part of it.
And I assume if they're your A triple plus, a double plus, A plus plus.
Yeah, my A plus plus. Yeah.
You know a lot about those folks. You're probably putting some even more personal stuff in your little note, asking about Johnny or Sally or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I choose not to use something like send out cards, even though that's a great service. For me, it's not personal enough. Okay. And that's honestly another reason I don't use like a transaction coordinator. It's not personal enough for me. Like, I like to be able to call them and say, okay, closing is tomorrow. Woohoo! To write in my handwritten note, hey, I saw you got a new puppy. How awesome. I just need it to be a little more personalized than just the generic services. It might take me longer to do it, but I think the effect is more far reaching.
Now, do you try to send out a certain number of cards per day? Are you trying to send out maybe 5 cards a day, or
5 to 10? It's not a huge, overwhelming. Like this morning, I've got 2 written out to send with some Starbucks gift cards, just from some folks I noticed on Facebook. Somebody had gone on there asking for referrals from agents, and I had like 3 of my clients go, Desi is the person you want. So yeah, of course they're going to get a thank you, just for the thinking of me and putting my name out there to somebody.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned that you play around a little bit on Facebook as part of your prospecting. You mentioned your private Facebook group that you're doing, which is fantastic, but that sounds like that's more recent. What were you doing prior to that when you were on Facebook?
It's a lot of, and again, I think we as agents fall very short on Facebook because it's not, it's not my gig. I do it out of necessity. So I try to just be, again, warm, touching, friendly. I'm never boastful. I'm never gonna, you're never gonna see your picture with me on Facebook. You're never gonna see, me bragging numbers or anything like that, because that's just not my style. Okay. But I'm going to do the ads that say, do you want to know the value of your home? Here's another one sold. You can be next, that sort of thing. And I do separate my business page from my personal page. And I don't do much real estate at all on my personal page.
As far as posting out listings or something along those
that
lines.
Sort of thing.
As far as lead generation, though, is it coming mainly from your business page or more from your personal page where you're making those connections with people?
I'm going to say it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I just had a transaction where a young fellow, sold one house, bought another. And I know it was because we had mutual friends on Facebook and he was just kind of watching. I mean, and when you put out a listing and they can see the great written ad copy, the professional photos, they know that you're in this to do it the right way and to be a professional with their transaction. It's never going to be done haphazardly. Yeah.
Let me talk about that big picture of your marketing plan to these folks. You said a newsletter. Is that a digital newsletter or a written news?
That's
physical.
That's a digital. I send that out through MailChimp.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's something my virtual
assistant.
That
up every month, or do you?
My virtual assistant does. Yeah,
okay,
my virtual assistant takes care of that. Yeah.
Okay.
It just kind of props to her. I couldn't do nearly what I do without her. She's kind of the brains behind the organization here.
Right, and we're going to talk about her in just a second.
Sure.
So let's see, we've got the private Facebook group, we've got the calendar you mail out once a year, you got the swag bag at closing, the box seats that you hand out, the cakes, the handwritten cards. Are you making any phone calls during the week when you're prospecting?
I am horrible at that, Mike. Don't tell anyone, okay? No, I am not a big phone conversation person. Same thing with like client events. I'm just never going to do that. It's just, and again, I think a part of what we do, people want to see you as genuine and real. And if I try to put on a fake phony, that I'm just do something that I'm not really into or loving, it's just not going to work.
Sounds like the major thrust that you're doing with your touches, you're staying in touch with these folks, is that you've got the Facebook group, you're touching base with them on Facebook. If they write something neat about somebody or something, you're probably commenting on it. And then you've got the cards that you're sending out, that's touching base with people once a year. You're just kind of trying to stay in their world. The newsletter that goes out once a month. And then they raise their hand and they contact you if they're interested. Is that the way it's happening?
Yeah, exactly. And just being out in public too and being seen, I'll put on the logo shirt and just go sit at my coffee shop, so that people see you out there. I can go pick up our pizza order and the kid's like, oh, hey, Desi, I've been on your website, just because he sees the silly logo shirt.
That's great.
Things, they are just you just be amazed what small touches can do.
So the logo shirt is like the old-fashioned name tag, where we used to have a name tag on the shirt. You do it with a logo shirt. Yeah,
exactly. And it's everywhere, Like I said, I go sit in the coffee shop and I've got the big sticker on the back of the computer, and it's just an automatic conversation starter.
That's a good one. That's another little one. Sticker on the back of the computer.
Yeah, I mean, even when I go to the grocery store, I'm going with the logo shirt on because you're going to see everybody. I live in a small community.
You mentioned that a couple times, a small community. How big is the community there?
Well, we are in we are the New River Valley. So we consist of several small communities: Blacksburg, Radford, Christiansburg, Claytor Lake, Pulaski, Dublin. All combined, we're at about 200,000 or so. And we are a huge college town. I'm sitting right in the middle of, Virginia Tech and Radford University. Okay. So But our smaller areas, our populations, like Radford's 30,000 people, and that's where I live. Okay. So again, chances are you go out, you're going to find somebody that I've either showed a house to, sold a house to, sold their parents a house, So it's just that constant name recognition.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Let's do this. Let's switch gears and let's talk about your virtual assistant. And
Okay.
let's kind of get it. First of all, how long have you had the virtual assistant?
Oh, goodness. I would say probably 12 years, 10,
Oh, wow.
12 years. Yeah. I mean, once I started getting up to that, 30 transactions a year or so, I'm like, well, no, actually, I take that back, Mike. It was when I completely shifted and said, I need more listings. Okay. Because an old wise agent told me, Desi, if you have listings, it's the groceries on the shelf. You just put the groceries on the shelf and everyone else will come buy them. So that's always been I just need more groceries on the shelf. Yeah. So once I started, really everything I do, every marketing piece, everything is centered around sellers.
And so I assume you're doing that by saying, hey, you want to get a free market analysis or want to know the value of your home?
Or just sold, you could be next. Thinking of selling, thinking of moving. There's a lot of ways to sell. I think consumers might be catching on to that whole free market analysis thing, but that constant, in your ear of you could be next, you could be next. I think that's powerful in itself.
I like that. I hadn't actually heard that before, this idea of you could be next.
Yeah, sold.
Adding that little tagline.
Yeah,
And that seems to be working for you.
It does. It really does. So, but for me to sit down and enter a new listing, I'd literally spend an entire business day. By the time you put it in the MLS, upload the photos, do it on the, social media, get it on your website, I'm just like, I've got to have help doing this. And that's when my virtual assistant, met her. Well, actually, I've met her once. She actually did come to town once. She is a real person. I have met her. And it's just been an absolute wonderful arrangement for me as a solo agent. I don't pay office space for her. I don't pay desk fees for her. It's an hourly rate just based on the work that she does. I don't guarantee a certain number of hours. So my cost to her is really just dependent on the workload.
Let's break into some of the details that people are going to want to know. So Where did you find her? How'd you find the virtual?
Oh, goodness. I went to a GRI class one time, and she was recommended to me.
Where is she at? Is she in America? Is she in the USA or somewhere else?
Yeah, she's in the Virginia Beach area.
Okay, so she's actually near you, but you only met her once.
Yeah, met her once. Right.
So what's her situation? Why is she doing this? Does she need to stay home and work, or did she like this kind of work?
She had worked and she was on a team of another virtual assistant and then decided to break out on her own. And now she has a group of, if she's out, I've got a new listing, she's like, don't worry, this person's taking care of you this week. Whatever you need, there's another person on her team that does the newsletter. Another person will do a marketing. If I say, hey, Ann, I need a postcard, here's what I want it to say. And I literally just say, just let's make it Desi. You know what I mean? And she just logos it, does my colors and fonts, and knows exactly how to make it me.
Now, if there was an agent listening and they wanted to find a virtual assistant, where would you recommend they go? What would you recommend they do?
My only experience has been with the one that I use, and it's, Ann Shoemaker, my real estate assistant. I don't mind plugging her because she's amazing. And again, it's a perfect situation of, an hourly rate and a job very well done. I don't have any experience with the overseas people, not to say they don't work. I'm sure lots of people love them, but my experience has just been right here, with my assistant who's not too far from me.
What kind of hourly rate are you paying?
I want to say Ann's like $27 an hour, which honestly, when I'm busy doing some marketing things, putting on a few new listings a month, It runs anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month.
And
But the
she's an independent
time-
contractor.
She is. The time and hours that it saves me and frees me up, like I just put on a new listing this morning while we're doing this because she's doing it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, which is pretty awesome. And now let's talk about the task that she's doing for you. You
Okay.
started to mention that. You've said like she inputs information in the MLS. She gets listings online for you.
Correct. She puts them on my website, does the social media campaign, announces it out there on my social media platforms. She puts together, oh goodness, my digital newsletter, mail that out through MailChimp every month. And she 100% takes care of that. Troubleshoots a lot of my technology, was instrumental in, website development, behind the scenes, really just being that hands-on person that I don't have time to be, and I don't have the knowledge of those things. Whereas she and her team, that's what they do.
Does she do transaction management for you? It sounds like she's doing listing coordination
Right.
where she's putting the listing in and getting it going.
Correct.
But is she doing
not
your under contract?
No, I do my under contracts. I take care of all that.
You're doing your own transaction management.
I do my transaction management, yes.
Does Ann provide transaction management services?
She does. That is a service she would do for you. Sure.
It's just that you didn't want that. You wanted to be
That's
more
right.
hands-on. So you're able to
I
do
mean,
a la carte. You pick little things.
Yeah.
Also sounds like she
Yeah.
has a team that you're tapping into it, so it's not
She's
just
got
her.
she's got a great graphics team. If I say, I need a brochure, I need a mailer, I need a postcard, here's the size it needs to be for every door direct, she puts it together, sends me the PDF, and I'm ready to go.
You know, $27 an hour may sound like a lot to people, but when it's independent contractor and you're not having to pay all the cost of an employee and not having to pay them consistently and always trying to find work for them to do, this is really a great way to do piecemeal with that.
It's a huge win-win. Yeah, it's a huge win-win. Yeah, I couldn't nearly do what I do without her. Yeah, it's a huge piece of my business.
Let's talk about training. Did you have to train her to do these tasks? Did she already know how to do most of it?
She had a background, in real estate, coming from that environment, working as a team member for another virtual assistant. So she works, with dozens of agents across the country.
What's the name of the business again?
It is Ann Shoemaker with My Real Estate Assistant.
My Real Estate Assistant. Well, she might get a couple more pieces of business coming in. This is great.
I hope she does, because like I said, she's right now. She would not take on anyone else in my market. She's exclusive to markets.
She does an exclusive. Well, that's smart.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really nice too. And sometimes like I'll put something on Facebook and she'll say, "Oh, hey Desi, that was great. Do you mind if I share it with my others?" I'm like, "No, it's fine." So we can bounce ideas off people. Yeah, it's really nice.
How about managing her as far as your workflow with her? Is that all being done by email? Do you get on these type of calls, Zoom calls? She's not there physically, so how are you staying in touch with her?
Well, a lot of it, again, comes back to that freakishly organized thing. My photographer goes out, takes the pictures, does the floor plans. I upload them to a shared Dropbox folder and grabs them from that folder. Same thing with, the clients and transactions that she's working on. I just share the Evernote folder. We never actually speak. We don't even text. It's by email and through our shared folders.
So mainly email, you're communicating back and forth, which is nice because then it's based on, whenever somebody can get to it and you don't have to have.
Yeah, exactly. She's actually troubleshooting a problem with me right now on Realtor.com. The mobile, app right now is kind of wonky on my listings. So she's putting in the service calls for me to Realtor.com.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't have to spend time doing that.
Then when it gets solved, she'll let you know. And then she's tracking her own hours, so you have to have trust.
Correct.
That she's really going to give you the true numbers.
And she does. She sends me that in my on my invoice once a month, the QuickBooks invoice, and it shows the time she clocked in, clocked out on each Could be 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, maybe 30 minutes for a postcard. And then I just, pay the bill online at the end of the day.
So you're paying once a month for the service.
I do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then there's no big surprises. It sounds so if you get a listing and you want her to start working on it, you email her and let her know. Does she ever contact the seller?
No, she never has any calls to contact my clients at all.
So you're doing all the interaction with your client. You're doing the calls for the listing. You're doing the calls for the contract. You're doing the initial prospecting call. You are the focal point.
That's right. And that's what I tell sellers when we meet. I'm like, good, bad, or otherwise, it's me, start to finish. I'm going to be your only point of contact.
Somebody asked me when we talk about a high-performing solo agent, I call you a super solo agent. How many hours a week are you working?
Oh, goodness. It used to be probably at least 60, 70 hours a week. But it just depends on, the season. We're very seasonal. How many buyers, how many contracts I'm writing, how many listings I'm out there showing. I'm probably at 50 hours a week. Yeah, but a lot of that is early morning when everyone else is still asleep. I get a lot done by noon. I really get a lot accomplished by noon. Yeah.
I have a personal question. I don't know much about autism. Do you still have to provide a lot of services for your son, or is he?
Oh, yeah. No, Ben will always live at home with us. That's my son. He will always live at home with us. We are actually heading out on a great trip to Canada next week. But yeah, between myself and my husband, we decided that when Benjamin graduated high school, which was 4 years ago, one of us needed to be home full time. So my husband is stay-at-home dad and I work, So we just did kind of a role reversal and it works well with us. So in the mornings, that's another reason I don't do like afternoon or early morning appointments, because honestly, it's very important that I be here to fix Ben's breakfast. He likes mom to fix his breakfast in the mornings. So I make sure, I'm here. If I have to run out, that's fine. But again, everything is worked around. And, going back on that, honestly, the autism has taught us, how to be kind and caring on a level that, you just don't get the opportunity to without an amazing special person in your life.
Very good.
Yeah, and you can share that with your clients because this is such a stressful time in their lives. Look, buying and selling a house ain't nearly as much fun as people, think it's going to be. It's a stressful time. And honestly, you got to kind of just love them through it. Even for their quirkiness, some people are high maintenance. It's like, that's okay. They still have a need. They have a need to get from point A to point B. And if they're going to trust me to guide them along that path, honestly, it's my honor to do it. It really is. I don't take it lightly. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. It's kind of this business and personal mix here. And people ask me these kind of questions. This is why I'm asking you.
Sure.
Between personal and business. Has your husband always was there a point where your husband moved back in and started helping to raise the family? You said role reversal earlier. People are trying to understand the structure, how you do this time thing, and that's why I'm going at that end.
Yeah. No, we have always been very much a team, a very, very concise team. Whereas, when the kids were little, if I would say, I need to go to this real estate conference, well, he just jumps in and does, whatever needs to be done. Okay. So we have just always really complemented each other in our roles. We both work full time. He was, did his full time thing for 25 years. And again, like I said, it was all kind of gearing up to when Benjamin graduated and one of us needed to be, full time with him.
And that's where you made the change, was 4 years ago. But in those
Yeah.
early days, you were both shuffling around and you were
Oh,
bringing the kids with you on the appointments and making it happen.
sometimes it was, you just have to make it happen right now. I didn't enter real estate in that like baby infant stage. I don't know how brand new moms do that. That's
Sure.
hard. But like I said, as they got a little bit older, I could leave them alone by themselves for a few minutes. If I needed to run out and show a house, dad was at work. We always made that work. During the summers, of course, my husband would be at work and I would have people, my babysitters were people that I knew and trusted, and they would come to my house. So they could stay there during the day while I would run out and do a few things. We just literally made it work, and we still do all these years. Whatever we need to do, we just make it work.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Desi, let me ask you a couple other quick questions here. Your business, are you profitable?
I am. Thankfully, I'm very profitable because, again, just my virtual assistant, my online expenses, I probably run as high as 70%, 60%.
On your net profit?
Yeah.
Is that before or after taxes?
That's going to be after taxes. I
Wow.
budget about a third of my income for expenses, and I stay pretty true to that. Yeah.
Very nice. Oh, well, let me clarify then. So you said about 30% of your, you budget 30% for expenses, 70% the bottom line. Is the tax, is that in the 30% or does it get taxed on your 70%?
On my 70%.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So your true net profit is 70%. And that is fantastic, by the way. That's a great number. I was just curious so people get an idea what to shoot for. So congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, you can run a pretty lean ship, but it takes years of practice and trial and error. I mean, even now, I'll spend money on something, give it a little while, and I'm like, that's just not working. Well, we're done with that. So, and again, I spend a lot of money probably on mailers. My Every Door Direct, I budget about $1,000 a month for direct mail. But again, I find that to be profitable.
Sure. Well, a lot of these are your ancillary revenue sources, though. Your main source is coming from the repeating referrals, correct?
That's right. That's right.
And you can be even more profitable if you weren't trying to grow and bring in those new leads. You can focus just on your sphere and your repeats, your past clients, and I assume it would be even a higher net profit.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But I've honestly, Mike, and I don't mean, we could always do more business, but I personally am at a place where I don't know physically how much more I could grow by myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you made the decision not to bring in a team and grow that direction. Did you ever try to go the team route, and did it work?
No, never did.
You always knew you wanted to stay independent.
Yeah, and I get offers, every week of my life, from someone, but it's like, I've kind of got this good thing going, and, I just work really hard at it, the education aspect of it. I do tons of webinars, classes, always trying to improve how we can do business. Because, it still hurts my feelings when I don't get that listing sometimes, but you just realize you can't get them all, but what could I have done better or different? So always trying to improve what we do.
I'll ask you one other big question I'm curious about. So in the early years, the very first year you closed 12, the last 5 or so years you've been closing 70. The progression to move up, was it smooth where you were just adding a couple each year as it grew? Or was there a year where you took a big jump? And if so, what happened?
You know what? I'm looking at my numbers. Honestly, the jumps have been kind of gradual, 10 to 15 transactions per year. And I think that's a direct result of, honestly, providing great customer service and going back and never forgetting those people that you just worked with. Even if they've moved out of state, just a special thank you to them.
So you played the long game. You played the long game. Nice gradual, slow growth, and it's built up over time. And now you're kind of at a plateau where you're very happy and you're doing very well.
I've never desired world domination. I don't need, it's just not my thing. Honestly, I want to spend quality time with my family, and service my clients in to the very best capacity that I can.
Desi, what drives you?
Oh, I'd say number one, my why is my family. Of course, my youngest son, the oldest son is working out of the country these days. So, just to spend quality time with my family and the drive to always keep learning. This is such a great business because it's always changing and evolving. And if you don't change and evolve, it'll leave you in the dust. So there's always, I find it to be very, very energizing, to get up, you have different families every day with different problems to solve, with unique propositions that they need to reach their goals. So I just love the diversity of it, always something different.
Desi, why have you been so successful?
Oh, goodness. Again, my support system, my family, my faith, like I said, God first, and I'm just get up and go to work every day. That's what we were just always taught is you get up and go to work every day. Yeah. And be kind to people, be genuine. Just be kind and genuine and treat them with the respect that they deserve. I mean, this is a big deal. This is not buying a used car. These are life-changing transactions that you get to be part of in this moment of your client's life. Yeah.
Desi, if you were going to advise a brand new agent who was just getting in the business, what would you tell them to do first?
Oh, goodness. Jump in and learn. Just learn. There's so many more opportunities than when I got started 15 years ago. Now you can YouTube, you can, your podcast, just because you got nothing else to do. So just start making yourself good at it. The education level, I think, is hands down one of the most important. And then also figure out how are you going to make your phone ring. You're never going to make money in real estate paying referrals to other people. You got to figure out how to make your phone ring. It's not up to your broker. It's not up to Zillow. It's not up to, to give you leads. Now, if you want to go that route, that's great. But if you want to get a high margin going, you need to figure out how to make your phone ring.
Well, Desi, do you think that top agent interviews like the one we're doing right now for success calls are valuable?
Oh, they're hugely valuable. I can't even express. I mean, literally, I just did a 5-hour trip and kind of binged, listened to a bunch of them. And again, it's something that you can do that's so hands-on and valuable. You can pay to go to classes, you can do things, but this is just hands-on what's going to affect your day-to-day business that we get from these calls. And I can't thank you enough for them.
Thank you so much, Desi. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Desi, I've come to the end of my questions for today. Do you have any parting thoughts for the listeners?
You know what? Just keep learning. Keep learning. Be better. Be yourself. Be real. And just get out there and care about your clients. Don't seek the big volume, the big, the huge. Take your $75,000, $80,000 client and love on them because they deserve it. Yeah.
This is fantastic. Well, Desi, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Thank you, Desi.
If you like the show and want to know when the next one's coming out, click the subscribe button. And if you want to hear more episodes like this, give the show a 5-star review and write a quick comment. I read them all, and it motivates me to keep going and share the top agent success stories with you. Thanks. If you're looking for more ways to generate leads, check out our sponsor, RealGTV, Real Estate Agent Lead Generation Television, and their giant database library of video trainings where top agents reveal, demonstrate, and discuss their best lead generation methods. Visit RealGTV, REALG.TV. If you're low on funds or just want to get the maximum leverage, check out my masterclass webinar titled Top 5 Free Lead Sources for Real Estate Agents. Learn more at freeleadtime.com. That's freeleadtime.com. Oh, and if you have a real estate friend who needs some inspiration, tell them about the Success Calls podcast. And don't you forget to subscribe right now to hear all the great top agent ideas. Keep moving forward.
You've been listening to Success Calls on the Mastermind Agent Network, where top real estate agents from across North America reveal their success secrets, strategies, and systems in up-close and personal interviews. You can find all the calls at www.mastermindagent.com.